It was past midnight when Richard Hale, the CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech company, quietly walked through the dimly lit halls of one of his warehouses. He was there undercover, disguised as an ordinary maintenance worker. The company had been facing rising complaints from employees about long hours, low morale, and poor communication from management. Richard wanted to see the truth for himself, not from reports or filtered memos, but from the ground level, where real people worked. He never imagined that a late-night inspection would lead him to one of the most life-changing encounters of his career. As he turned a corner, his eyes caught a faint beam of light flickering behind a row of stacked crates. Curious, Richard moved closer, trying not to startle whoever it was. He saw a man in a faded security uniform, sitting cross-legged on the cold concrete floor, a thick textbook spread open across his lap. The man was reading intently, using only a small flashlight clutched between his teeth to see. Richard paused. The sight was almost cinematic. A tired worker in the dead of night, surrounded by silence, yet fighting sleep to chase something bigger. Richard stepped closer and cleared his throat softly. "Hey, buddy, what are you doing here so late?" he asked, pretending to sound casual. The guard jumped a little, quickly standing up. "Oh, sir, I'm sorry, I was just..." He hesitated, embarrassed. "I was studying." "Didn't mean to get caught." Richard smiled, still in his disguise. "Studying? At this hour? For what?" The guard, whose name tag read Eli Thompson, scratched his neck and replied, "I'm trying to finish my degree in computer science. I can't afford to go to college full-time, so I work the night shift here. When it's quiet, I read whatever I can. I want to build something someday, maybe software, maybe security systems." He looked down, half laughing. "Sounds silly, huh?" But it wasn't silly to Richard. In fact, it hit him deeply. Here was a man working long hours guarding his company's property, yet still chasing his dream by flashlight. Richard felt a pang of guilt. How many Elis had gone unnoticed in his company? People with dreams, talent, and drive, but limited means. Over the next few nights, Richard visited Eli again, still undercover. They shared coffee, quiet conversations, and stories about life. Eli never complained about his situation. Instead, he spoke with hope. He told Richard about his mother, who cleaned houses to help pay his tuition, and how he promised her he'd make something of himself no matter how hard it got. "It's tough," Eli said one night, "but one day, I'll walk into an office not as a guard or broken bar but as an engineer." A week later, the undercover program ended, and Richard revealed his true identity during a company-wide meeting. Employees were shocked to see that the humble maintenance guy they'd been talking to was actually the CEO. As Richard took the stage, he paused before sharing a story. "Last week," he began, "I met a man in this company who reminded me what real dedication looks like." Then, with a smile, he gestured toward Eli, who sat frozen in disbelief as everyone turned to look at him. "Eli Thompson," Richard continued, "works nights as a security guard and studies by flashlight when the world is asleep. That's the kind of determination this company was built on." Applause filled the room, but Eli's eyes were wide with confusion and emotion. Richard then said something that changed his life forever. "Eli, starting today, we're offering you a full scholarship to complete your degree, and once you graduate, a guaranteed position here in our tech department. You've earned it." Tears streamed down Eli's face as he stood, trembling, overwhelmed by the moment. The room erupted in cheers. Richard walked over and shook his hand firmly. "Keep that flashlight," he whispered, smiling. "It's a symbol of where you came from, and how far you'll go." Months later, Eli left the night shift and began studying full-time. The company featured his story in its internal newsletter, inspiring countless employees. Years later, he returned, not as a guard, but as a software engineer, creating new systems to protect the same warehouses he once patrolled. Richard never forgot that night, the soft glow of a flashlight, the quiet hum of dedication, and the moment he realized that the heart of a company isn't found in its profits, but in the dreams of its people. And Eli, every time he stayed late at his new desk, he kept that old flashlight beside his keyboard, a reminder that sometimes, the darkest nights lead to the brightest beginnings. Moral: no dream is too small, No struggle too quiet. When someone believes in you, or when you believe in yourself enough to keep going, even a flicker of light can change your life forever.